So I'm young, I journal, and if you don't journal at whatever age you are, I think that you're actually missing a key part of success. So, especially when you're young, you need to be giving yourself direction as to where you want to be going. Now, you need to be thinking a lot about this, and that's where you journal. That's where journaling comes in. You can't think about it, but you know what? As a brain is, you get distracted by little things, and you don't get as deep into a subject as you would like. That's why when you do math, you need to be writing out the logical steps so that you don't lose yourself where you are. And if you do lose yourself, you just look, and boom, you're right back in it. So in journaling, it's kind of similar to math. I'm an engineering major, so I try to make things in a chronological, step-by-step order so that you don't get lost anywhere and you create steps from point A to point B. A is where you start, B is where you want to get to. So life is pretty much all about breaking it into little steps. In order to break it into steps, you need to know how many steps. But before you know that, you need to know where you're actually going. So when you journal, you talk about your day, what you did, and then from there you actually have to deduct why you did everything you did that day. Why do you do what you do? So, you go to the gym. Why do you do it? Because you want a better body. Okay, why? Because it makes you feel good, it makes you more confident, it makes you better in life. Great. That is a great reason to be doing something. But journaling just gives you direction. You first journal about what you did that day, and then you start just journaling your thoughts. And instead of just thinking your thoughts, where you think of something and then kind of just fades out into dust, disappears, forget about it, you completely don't even know what you were thinking. You've probably done this, walked into a room and just forgot why you were going in there. The mind is it's very antsy. It likes to be smart and then just forget about it. All your neurons in your brain are firing, but you need to concentrate your neurons. You need to concentrate your brain. And in this generation, concentration is really going down. I read a book called Deep Work, and it pretty much just talked about the whole thing. It literally every chapter repeated itself essentially. The main, it's Deep Work. I don't have the book with me. I would name the author, but it essentially just said that you need to completely eliminate distractions. Distractions is what keeps you back. So, for example, the author would be locking himself in a room with nothing but the work in front of him. And sure, the first hour or two is hard, the first 30 minutes, it's hard. But then eventually it becomes your dopamine receptors actually start to enjoy the work because it has nothing else to do but sit in the room. So the work becomes enjoyable. So yes, watching TV, I was watching TV. That's irrelevant. You could still, in moderation, anything's good. Or anything can be healthy. But you need to isolate yourself so that you don't have these distractions and hard work actually becomes good. It makes you feel good. So when you journal and you don't know what to journal about, that's good. Don't pull out your phone. I know you guys have at least, you could do this for 3 hours or 5 hours. I know you guys got time. I mean, on the weekend or something, instead of just going play video games, watching TV, just sit down for like 5 hours and just think. I know that's scary. Sometimes you don't like your thoughts, but you know what? Just think, because that is how you truly make progress in life. If you just go by step, not really looking where you're going, but it feels good. It feels good. It feels good. You don't know what you're missing out on. You're missing out on potentially hard work feeling good, and that actually building you somewhere, building you from where you are now to become a better person in the future. That is the goal. If you just do this quick dopamine, the easy dopamine, it'll be easy, but you won't be building anywhere, and that is how people become depressed. A lot of people are depressed because they don't journal, in my opinion. They don't work out. They don't eat healthy. They don't think. So it all starts with thinking, but you have to journal to put those into words. You put it into words because sometimes thoughts can be a feeling. So journaling is also putting feelings into words. And once you have the words, you can derive goals. With goals, you can derive steps. With steps, well, you break them into even smaller steps. And just like that, an emotion that you crave has become a logical step-by-step instruction that you created yourself to reach your goal. So journal. I'm sure I could talk about this more. I'm going to hit pause 1 sec. Okay, another pro of journaling, I've noticed this very recently, is it makes you a better person. It makes relationships easier. Having friends, family, just people, relationships with anyone, it makes it easier because you understand yourself and people are similar. Not everyone. Sometimes you can tell that people obviously they don't think and they're not receptive to hearing how I think, so you leave them alone. You leave those people alone. But you find people that you think are similar to you, maybe could be friends, and you already understand yourself very deeply, and maybe they don't. Most likely they don't. Statistics show that most likely they do not. But you can actually make them feel better about themselves. The point of relationships is to put more in than you get. At least try to. So you try to build them up, you try to help them out. And then they really start to like you, and then they start to do the same to you, and you start to build each other up. But journaling, you get to understand yourself, and then you understand others. And from there, when you start journaling, you start to articulate your thoughts better. And when you start to articulate your thoughts better, you become smarter. You sound smarter. Like in math class or in any class, college class, high school class, anywhere, any work environment, any conversation you're having, you sound smarter when you know how to use your words properly and you know how to convey what you are thinking. That is what journaling is great for. It teaches you communication skills. You could be the dumbest guy in the world, but if you know how to communicate, you're golden. I really think you're golden. Obviously have some good thoughts, but just really learn how to communicate. And if you're really a brick and you know it, that's okay. Find someone that isn't and become this person for them. Make them feel better about themselves. And if you get enough people like that, you only need like 3 to 5 good friends like that. And you make them feel good about themselves, they'll like you. And if you have friends in high places, you could be a brick. But man, they're the catapult, man. They're gonna launch you. You're gonna be a bird, no longer a brick. I mean, you'll be a dumb brick, but you know what? You'll be a happy brick. So if you're a brick, this is how you become a happy brick. All right, let's see anything else. All right, so journaling helps you actually learn from life, learn from mistakes, and move on. It helps to sometimes a bad feeling humans have, or a bad emotion that humans have, is regret. And a lot of times when I journal, I do refer to people as humans because you look at it literally, because sometimes you get too lost in emotions. Emotions are great, but sometimes put them to the side, keep them in a little bubble. And you get to really dissect the emotion. So, like in terms of regret or any similar emotion, you put it to the side. Nope, you're not feeling regret anymore. You're analyzing regret. You are analyzing yourself. You are not feeling. You're analyzing your life. You're looking from above. You're looking down from above. Like a little puppet. You're a little puppet and you're the puppet master. And once you learn how to properly make yourself dance, you can make other people dance. But always be nice. I think if you learn how to manipulate and control yourself, you can be the king of the world. I really think that. Because you get to make other people feel good about themselves, they'll be happy. The end of the goal is for you to be happy and as many people to be happy. And most people don't know how to be happy. So if you know how to be happy and you've learned how to manipulate yourself, manipulate is not a bad word. Okay? It's not evil. I manipulate myself. I change myself. So if you see someone that maybe isn't there yet, or if you just come into instances where you see that your manipulation of tactics can actually improve your life, do it. You understand yourself, you make yourself better, and then you use that ability to make your life better, not just by yourself, but you start to incorporate other people in making yourself better. You make them better. It's a great relationship to have. Relationships are key to life. So journaling, you get better goals, you get more clear goals, higher goals, because you're actually thinking. You get higher discipline because you get to recognize your patterns. And you stay mentally sharp. So all of you guys have felt this, 3 a.m., you're still awake, you got these awesome thoughts. You're like, wow, I'm cleaning my room. You know what? I'm going to do some push-ups. I'm going to go do that assignment I've been meaning to do. And you're really locked in, and then you wake up and you don't feel like that for another month. What's really important is to stay focused in that zone where you have no distraction from your goal. You see your goal, and damn, you're going to do whatever you can to get it. Like, it feels good, right? Like, it feels good to chase it. It feels really good. So you stay mentally sharp when you journal every day because you force yourself to write, and then you force yourself to think, man, I don't have anything to write. Oh yeah. I remember when I journaled, when I was in that mode, I'm going to go back and read what I journaled. And just by reading that, you put yourself right in that mode again. So recently I've discovered that vocabulary and use of words and constructing sentences, I've always thought it was stupid. Because, I mean, if you understand what I'm saying, what's the point of learning these fancy words? Well, the point is, if you use the correct word, you could use a word similar to what you're looking for, but it won't hit the nail on the head if you don't use the exact right word. And when I say hit the nail on the head, I mean make you feel like that again. So learning good vocabulary is good. Journaling is good. When you're feeling like that, go back to read your journal entries when you were feeling like that, and boom, you'll feel like that again, and you start to journal again. And just repeat that process until you no longer need to look at the previous journals to think like that. And that is when you have changed your subconscious, which is good, because then you no longer need to actively think to be that way. You will just be that way. So that is how you change yourself. Most people, the older they get, the much harder it is to change their subconscious. That's why kids they should be protected. I mean, I think they are, in terms of mindset alteration, because when you're younger, you learn everything 10 times easier because you're receptive to learning. You don't really have a subconscious yet. You're kind of developing it. Yeah. And to finish it off, kind of like the last video, compounding. If you have your right mindset shift, you set your life in the right direction. The mindset that you have now in your teens, 20s, and 30s, and so forth, it all compounds. So you waste less of your life, you live more of it, how you want to live it, and you're happier. And then when you're happy, you work out more, you make more money, you have a good family, people around you like you, and you just have a good life. So journaling is a key to good life. I recommend. All right. And to mention, it does reduce stress, because when stress comes from knowing that you could be doing something that you are not doing. Stress doesn't come from the amount of work you're doing. Stress doesn't come from the hard work you're doing. Stress comes from knowing that you are not doing something that you could be doing. So when you journal, you list everything, and you list what you're not doing. And you know what? You deserve to be stressed if you don't actually go out and start doing that. So you list what you need to do, and you go out and do that. A lot of the times you feel stressed because you should be doing more, I could be doing more, but you don't know what it is. You don't know the first step to take. So that's where journaling comes in. You find out what step it is to take, and you start taking that step. Don't think too much. Once you've established the steps, you start going. You just do one step, cool. Next step, next step, next step. It's walking. You don't think when you walk. Don't think in life. Well, when you're acting, take that with a grain of salt. Don't think too much. Oh, one of my personal favorites is I journal on a Google Doc. So it's all in one Google Doc. Number one, I'll get to look back on it and see how much I've changed over the years. And just by reading it, I'm sure I'll remember a lot more. I'll have a lot more nostalgia. And another pro, put into ChatGPT, ask it questions on yourself. ChatGPT is your friend. It's your personal therapist. You ask him questions. He's your friend. You just ask him. It's a professional on your fingertips. We live in an era where you could become a master in anything. just with AI. So. All right, so that is everything I had to say about journaling. I hope you guys start. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section if you're watching. So thank you for watching. Come back for another one.